Now, you do talk about growing up in Birmingham because you don't sound, to my ear anyway, you don't sound like you're from Birmingham.
No, I've got a lilt. So, are you... I mean, you'll be familiar with the Brummie accent. But are you familiar with the Brummie accent?
Brummie?
Brummie, it's sort of quite like that, all right.
I don't understand a word you're saying.
Oh, you should go to the Black Country. That's where it's real fun. So in the Black Country, they've got proper, like, Dudley. They sort of talk like that. I got no neck and no future. But I went on a speed awareness course in the Black Country last year because I'm an absolute badass.
Yes.
And there was a woman at the back who I became obsessed with because she, like, just had no respect for the whole course. And she, the guy came out and he's really patronising. He was going like, "Why do we speed, guys? Why do we speed?" And she went, "'Cause I'm in a rush." And he said, "Any reasons why it might be justifiable to speed?" And I didn't chip... Like, no one was chipping in because I didn't want to speak. And she just went, "Well, if there's an emergency, if you've got to take someone to hospital..." And he went, "No, that's not a reason. You've still got to be safe. If you hit someone on the way to hospital, that's 2 people going to hospital." And she went, "That's lucky I'm going that way. Give him a lift."
Very good.
Obsessed with her.
Because you've had an extraordinary amount of jobs.
I've had tons of terrible jobs, yeah.
Like what?
I think the worst one was packing worming tablets in a factory for 10 hours a day. You weren't allowed to sit down and you weren't allowed to talk because they said it would slow you down.
I mean, it's amazing that that many people have worms.
They were for dogs.
Oh, OK. And were you fired from all the jobs?
No, I was only fired from, like, 3 or 4.
And did you like any of them?
Yeah, I did. I got a job as a dental nurse. That was a great job. But I used to sort of... I used to just drift away. There was a window here, and I'd daydream through the window, and I had to sit there with the aspirator, you know, the...
Oh, yeah.
That. And I'd sort of, like, just drift off. And the dentist would say, "Diane, aspirator. Diane, aspirator. Diane, so I'd come to and I'd shoved it in the mouth. And I knocked someone's tooth off.
No way!
Well, they were in the right place.
Exactly. They glued it on, they didn't know.
Sarah Pascoe's had a very exciting lockdown.
Exciting.
Ooh.
Have I?
Yeah.
Have I?
Well, haven't you...
Oh yeah, well, I got married just beforehand, so I've had a very exciting time.
Whoa!
Yes, thank you. But, yeah, so it should have been like, kind of like the new, you know, married bliss and everything, and then there was a lockdown and we were stuck together in the flat all of the time. And it's not a very... it's not very good for romance, so I decided I would do something to kind of... keep the romance going, and then what I did was very cliche. I bought some sexy pants on a website. I brought them to show you. This is not unhygienic, by the way, because they've never been worn because they're too complicated. And if you can see that, you see how there's too many leg holes? This is the pants that I brought. They were very expensive. And also, I showed one of my friends, I showed Lou, and she was like, "Oh, they're crotchless." They're not, I promise. That's the crotch there. They do have a crotch. Vouch for me, Nashville. So there we go. And so they first arrived. I didn't know it was going to be so difficult, so I just sent my husband out, like, "Oh, come in the bedroom in 5 minutes, you'll get a nice surprise." And I just thought, I'll just put my pants on, because I've never had trouble before, you know. Just assume it's going to be easy. I wasn't wearing shoes, I should say. It wasn't as complicated. And then I realised, oh, no, there's always other leg spaces. And then I thought, oh, maybe it's for arms. So those kind of arm pants. Yeah, maybe that's why they're so sexy. And first of all, I was just, you know, very confused about it. And then I got annoyed, and then I felt lonely. And eventually I got, you know, very frustrated and angry, and I started crying. And my husband was at the door, kind of like, "Let me in, what's wrong?" I was like, "I can't get these pants on." And then he was like... He's Australian, like, "Oh, I'll show you." Because I think he thought I was being really stupid. And, like, he would just show me how to put on underwear. And then he came in, and then he was flummoxed as well. And then he asked, like, "Well, what website did you get them from?" And so I told him, and then he found the page and he, like, shoved his phone in my face. And what I was looking at was this woman, and she was much, much younger than me, much thinner, with very big boobs, and she was all shiny with oil. And she must have been, like, a Mensa member because she was wearing these. And he was like, that's what they're supposed to look like? The sex was cancelled. So it was dramatic. It was dramatic rather than exciting.
Yes. But, yeah, but you've kept the romance alive.
Yes, we're still together because we can never leave.
Alan, I don't know if you have met the royal family, but I want to talk to you about meeting musical royalty.
Oh.
Because you met Selen Dion.
Ah. Wow. Huge Selen Dion fan.
How did this happen?
Well, here I go again, name-dropping Adele. But, this is the only way I meet people is through Adele. So we got married, and you know that
Not
she
Adele.
married me. Yes, what?
Yeah. No, you didn't marry Adele.
No. Oh, God. She married me and my ex. We're now ex now. We're divorced. And so, as a surprise, she flew us to Vegas to see Selen Dion perform at Caesar's Palace. It was so amazing. So we went there, we're all excited. Adele's like, come on this way, boys. Ah! You know, she's like... And instead of going left, we went right through these doors, and it was nowhere near the seats. And the door slams behind us. Selen Dion is there, behind a beaded curtain. She comes out, welcome to Vegas, how you doing, boys? She does talk like that, and it was amazing, Mina, honestly. And I don't know if you've ever seen her on stage. I've seen her on stage so many times, and, you know, she does the fist pumping and all that. She's actually like that when she talks to you. It's so off-putting. She's like, seeing any other shows in Vegas? And I'm like, yeah. And then I've got this awful thing as well, that when I'm nervous, because I'm a huge, like I said, a huge Selen Dion fan, I end up mimicking the voice as well, which could get me cancelled. But, yeah, so she was going, so, who asked who out? Like this, and then I end up going, I don't know, something.
I mean, the thing is,
you were going to say some funny pussy word now.
No, I wasn't.
It's awesome. We have to hire him for the laughter. We have a character in this.
I do have a weird laugh. It's like, because most people laugh on the ha-ha, they laugh out. Ha-ha. It sounds like a goose fighting a seal.
From the outside
Swallow your own laughter.
I swallow my own laughter.
Spit it out, boy.
Spit it out! Oh. Well, other rough stuff.
Let it go.
I'll give you a moment to recover.
Thanks, Graham.
And it's kind of weird because, you know, animals aren't what you do. You're a musician, you're a comedian, but like, even locally, you are known as the guy with the animals.
That's right. Well, my wife and I, we sort of run a kind of animal rescue centre. We have a kind of a whole sort of... It's like it's a kind of menagerie of waifs and strays. And so people, once you get a reputation for this kind of thing, people, you know, you're a soft touch, you know?
Yeah.
So people say, you know, a guy came to the door and he said, oh, you're the bloke who sort of looks after the animals? Yeah, and he goes, I've got a peacock in the van, will you take that? You know, I'm like, where'd you get it? Oh, a bloke up the pub. I was like, no. I mean, so, yeah, that kind of tends to happen a lot.
And I love the idea that, you know, because of what you do, you get to travel and you get to meet exotic animals.
Yes.
And you were in Brazil. Was it big cats you met in Brazil?
Yes, I made a documentary about jaguars in Brazil, and it was an amazing experience, and I got to meet on this army base. They had a jaguar, which was a mascot, and they said, oh yeah, you can meet her, we can film, you can get up close and personal with this jaguar. It wasn't entirely wild, but it wasn't entirely pet either. It was kind of a bit half and half, and it was in a gigantic enclosure, and we went in. And all the army guys had guns, and they were looking nervous, you know, the whole thing. And they were, I said, where's this jaguar? And they went, well, it's in here somewhere. We don't know where it is. and then he was going, Lulu, Lulu. And then the jaguar comes down, and then this amazing, I mean, just stunning, perfectly evolved thing lands, and, you know, its pace sort of slowly making its way towards me. And I said to the to the guy who was, you know, sort of helping us out with this, I said, "What? Any tips? Anything I should know about what's right around a Jaguar?" And he goes, "Always approach from the front." He goes, "That's the thing. Always approach from the front." I went, "Right." And I was thinking, "Really? Is that right? Always approach from the front? That seems like aggressive, you know?" But OK. So, and as I was walking towards it, he said, "Oh, sorry, never. Sorry." Sorry, he goes, my English is not so good.
I'll tell you, it's nice that having a place for the rescue animals is really great. We have a big 400-acre farm, and across the street was a farm for retired circus animals. And my first date with my lovely wife, Patty, I said, "I'm going to take her to see the retired circus animals." And we drove out, and there were elephants and giraffes in the middle of New Jersey, you know. But it's a lovely thing to do, and I have some nice memories of my wife.
If you like Richard Ayoade, and who doesn't like Richard Ayoade, then no, stop it.
I was genuinely asking you.
Then, ladies and gentlemen, you will probably love Ayoade on Ayoade, a book by Richard Ayoade exploring the work of Richard Ayoade. Is that correct, Richard Ayoade? It is. Yeah. How do you describe this book to people?
Well, you know, it is a joke. The fact that it is so... Yeah. I labour that joke.
No, it is very funny. It is very funny.
It's... we've got our first quote. It's not meant to be a serious interview with myself. The idea is, I thought it would be funny that I could be treated with the same reverence as kind of great directors who are interviewed at the end of their careers, like Orson Welles or Scorsese, and you get these huge interview books asking them about the craft. And I thought it would be funny, the idea of me being asked, not knowing anything, having no real great achievements, trying to sort of talk about my legacy now seemed a funny idea to me.
But have some people bought this thinking it's going to be an autobiography, kind of, you know, Richard Ayoade's a small boy and...
No one as yet has bought it.
It is out now. It is out now. It is possible to buy it.
A lot of people have said they might.
There's been a lot of interest.
Which for me is as good as an actual purchase. Yeah.
But so, to explain it, what's the best way? Could you read a bit out or something?
I could read, yes.
Is that a good idea?
Well, essentially, it's a bunch of jokes themed around film. That could be a description of it. I can read some.
OK, read a bit out, and we'll get a flavour.
Also, OK, so in it, I interview myself throughout the book. And it's, you know, there's some dramatic scenes. There's a speedboat chase at some stage. And in this, the interviewer version of me, the you of me,
yes,
if, as it were, asks this question. So I'll do a slightly lower voice for me, less nasal. I'll back it off. Do you feel your work is easy to label?
That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not at all. That's why people try to label it. They can't pin it down, so they want to put a label on it. I think people who label should themselves be labelled. They should be labelled as labellers with a little label. And then someone should put a pin in them. I don't like being labelled or pinned. I won't allow it. Do you like being labelled? I don't think so. Do you want to put a label on this? Ayoade leans over and gently kisses me on the cheek. Our eyes meet. The kiss becomes full, mouth-based, probing and deep. We end up making love. When I wake up, Ayoade is gone. I have wet myself.
Is it?
That didn't happen.
Sort of did.
Well, the book's a love story with myself.
But is it weird being on a chapter like this, selling the book? Because one of the things in the book is how kind of silly interviews are.
Yes, I'm not a brilliant salesperson of anything to do with me, which is a suboptimal position to put both of us in currently. And I must apologise, I mean, really, primarily to you.
this is a breakthrough role for you, Jack, because an American accent.
Yes.
Yes.
I was doing an American accent.
What, in that clip?
Yeah. Olivia!
He was.
I feel the Oscar buzz fizzling away.
It was.
No.
I'm so sorry. I heard it. Terrible.
Yes, no.
Yeah. It was good. It was
Thank
good.
you very much.
I heard it. I
Yes.
heard it. It was
You
good.
see, what a lot of actors do when they do an American accent is they tend to just go for, like, one region of America and they commit to a single American accent. I decided with this role that I would take us on a tour around all 50 states. Sometimes in the same scene. I thought, why just do one when you can show off them all? So I would start the scene talking like I was from New York, and then all of a sudden I'm suddenly speaking like I'm a Cali girl, and by the end of the scene they're stopping me because it sounds like I'm from the Dukes of Hazzard. And it went all over the place. But I thought, you know, just show off your skills.
And it's out in America already, so
Yes.
are you getting responses from audiences, people liking it?
Yeah, people seem to really like it. It's done great in the States, and yeah, I'm excited for it to come out here. People take it very seriously in America because it's kind of like their version of Paddington. So, and that's kind of the tone of the movie as well. But like grown adults who grew up with Clifford the Big Red Dog and get so like obsessed over the weirdest details as well.
Oh.
There was a guy who tweeted at me. It's quite weird. He was in the cinema and he'd taken a screenshot, and it was a screenshot of Clifford from behind with his tail up, and he tweeted at me going, "Why doesn't Clifford have an anus?" I was like, should you be at a kid's film? Should you be near children at all? And then it's one of those crazy things, because it's the internet. Underneath, there's like a whole discussion underneath this comment saying, if he doesn't have an anus, then he can't poop. And then someone else underneath it, best response ever, had put, maybe that's why he's so big.
Very good. But now, am I right in thinking your first taste of Hollywood was Mission Impossible?
Yes, I was the lead role in Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
I was believing you. No, they believe you. They're clapping. They're clapping you. Think she's lying. No.
She's in it. But who did you actually play?
I played Women at Desk.
Now you remember. But did you, because you were in the famous scene.
I was in the infamous scene.
Yeah, so this is Tom. This is where he broke his foot.
Yeah.
But now you're on the other side of you're in the window.
Yeah, you can sort of see. I think if you sort of zoom in a little bit more and you sort of keep zooming in, you can see that I'm sort of behind that window.
Were you really behind the window?
I was really behind the window, giving the performance of a lifetime.
So what, is he flying to kick you?
Yeah. He's flying to congratulate me on my performance. Really well.
And then you shut the window and ruined his performance.
Yeah, he broke his ankle.
So he kicked the building and broke his ankle?
Yeah, he was supposed to land, but his foot slammed into the wall of the building. And then they had to stop production for months. But I got there in the end. Yeah.
Did you have to audition for Woman
I
at
did,
Desk?
yeah. I had to go to an audition room and they said, like, OK, so pretend that you're at your desk and you're eating lunch, and then Tom Cruise slammed into the window. So I was like...
Very good.
That's how you get up.
Yeah, excellent. Very good.
Now, I turned round looking for Tom Cruise. Where is it?
Because you talked about how you don't go to pubs anymore and...
Well, you know, I go out, I go to restaurants and things, but pubs is the dangerous bit because people, when they've had a few, they're a little bit braver and they don't quite understand that you're having a quiet drink. And the worst is Brits Abroad are the worst. So I'll be in New York.
Listen to this, everyone.
No, they're all lovely, but they say, "All right, man, what are you doing?" I go, "We're having a beer if you want to come and join us." I go, "I'm with friends at the moment." They go, "No, we'll be here for a while if you want to." I go, "I'm all right." And you think they're going to... Any minute they go, "You've changed." Well, not really. I didn't used to go to a beer with strangers before I was famous. So it's always an awkward moment when you sort of say, "No, thank you, you know, thanks very much." But once I was in West End, and this guy came up to me. He was a backpacker. He was a European guy, and he went, "Oh my God, I was going to buy your book for you to sign. I haven't bought it yet." I went, "Oh, sorry." I went, Will you come with me to buy it?
Yeah.
I went, no. And he was going, there's Waterstones. I go, no, I said, I'm not coming with you to buy my book. No. Right? And I said, I'll sign something, and he was looking through, like, he found a tube part, and he kept looking at... I said, I'm not coming with you to buy my book. It's no, I'll sign you anything. But it's hard, because they think, well, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? I'm not going to meet you again, so this is my opportunity.
Right, yeah, exactly, that's the thing.
But actually, I was watching you tonight, Daniel, when you were outside and, the guys behind the railings, you were signing all the autographs. Did someone, when you started out, sit you down, like, did some experienced actor or star kind of sit, OK, this is how you deal with these, this is the way to behave, or you just
learn it as you go, because it's terrifying for the first, little while. Like, it's really scary, intimidating. Because that's the thing, like, because sometimes if you don't sign... they'll boo, like, loud. And when you're 11 and 12, that's really, kind of...
That's crazy.
It's really funny.
Going into a child. Shirley Temple.
So, for a while, it was, it used to really, freak me out. But I think it's something you get a lot better at and more used to. And then, but it's also kind of great, because sometimes because that's the thing, sometimes you say things that you're like... To somebody I'm meeting for the first time, I would sound like a massive narcissist. But because of how crazy parts of my life has been, it's just the case. So the other day I said to somebody, when they asked me to sign their arm, I now say to people, please don't get this tattooed. Which sounds insane and egotistical, but I met a girl who got my horrible signature, tattooed.
I've seen one... there's a guy that's got Brent on his... the whole thing... Brent! I mean, not even a cool guy like me. It's just me going... and it's massive.
But yeah, it's it is very strange.
So is it's a brand new tour you're planning? It now comes out next October.
Yeah. I'm on tour at the moment, so I'm doing a tour at the moment that ends in April. But this is a different show, different tour, and it's also reflecting the fact that I never expected to do this as a job. So it's 25 years since my first ever gig. My first ever gig was in a comedy club in Manchester called the Frog and Bucket. So I'm doing...
Which you're returning to?
Yeah, I'm doing all the arenas plus the Frog and Bucket.
Right.
I booked the Frog and Buckets on a Monday night.
And is it still going as a comedy club, or do you...
Yeah, it's still going. I mean, the thing with comedy, as you know, you need comedy clubs to make it work. You can't become a comedian any other way. Some people are doing it now via podcast, but in reality, to be a proper stand-up, you need to do 1,000 nights in 1,000 clubs.
And that Frog and Bucket, was that your first paid gig, or was it literally your first ever gig?
My first ever walk on a stage.
And what was your act?
Well, I didn't have one.
OK.
I literally didn't have one. I didn't go to get on stage prior to that. I'd only been to 2 comedy clubs in my whole life, so I had no interest in doing it. But I only went because I was depressed. So I'd split up with my wife. It was a Monday night. I had the kids all weekend, and then on a Monday I was just depressed. So I thought, I'll do something that you can do on your own. And it was either a comedy club or lap dancing. Honestly, I was a shit lap dancer.
The choices.
25 years, lap dancing for the nation.
Imagine that career. I was, I was 34, coming on to 35, and I was just literally looking for something to do. And I walked up to the door thinking it would be a full comedy club. And the guy on the door said to me, it's £4 to get in, but it's free if you put your name down. And I said, put my name down for what? He said, it's an open mic night. And I genuinely didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
He said, that means you put your name down, and if your name gets called out, you get on stage. And because I'd only been to 2 comedy clubs that had always been full, I thought, well, there'll be 200 people, they'll never get to me. And it was £4, I was going through a divorce. I thought, well, that's £4 she's not getting, so... I put my name down, expecting never to be called out, and I walked in, and there were 7 people in the place, and 5 of them had put the name down. And literally, I mean, I'm sat here on this couch with these talented people, with you in this world, and none of this would have happened but for that night, and for a 15-minute window. If I'd have been called out, I got called out second. If they'd been called out third, I might have already left. So I got called out second, after a Geordie fella doing chicken impressions. I'm not kidding.
Is he celebrating 25 years?
No. Yeah, he's got his own chicken farm now. And I remember sitting in the audience thinking, this brilliant comedian called Mick Ferry come on, who's comparing, and I was thinking, does he not know there's no one here? Then he went, your first act is, and this fella come on and go, oh, yeah, all right, you know, yeah. Have you ever seen a chicken drive a van? And I was sat there thinking,
it sounds like good.
I know. Hey, like, have you ever seen a chicken playing football? And then he called out my name. And I remember I walked on stage, never been on a stage, as I say. I'd done sales presentations and stuff like that. I remember the lights in my eyes, saying something about the lights being bright. And then I thought, what am I doing here? I thought, this is just ridiculous. Like, I've never thought of doing this. And then I thought, well, what's my choice? I'm going to go home to an empty house, not living with the woman I want to live with, not living with my kids. I'll just go home to a bottle of wine. And what have I got to lose? There's only 7 people here, and one of them thinks he's a chicken. So, I literally started talking. And I remember started talking, I said some half joke, and then I had nothing to say, I had no joke, so I just went, I'm getting divorced. And I started talking about getting divorced. And in comedy clubs, when your time's up, there's a red light that flashes. I didn't even know that. So I remember going, oh, your light's broke. And I just carried on talking. I was meant to do 7 minutes because there was no one there. They let me carry on. I did about 25, half an hour or something. And I walked off, and I remember Mick, the compere, and the fellow who run the place, Dave Perkins, coming up to me. He said, where have you been doing your stand-up? I said, I've never done it in my life. And he said, well, some of that was really good. He said, some of that was funny. He said, the bit where you started talking about getting divorced and you started crying, don't do that again. he said, but come back, and we're here every Monday. So it was like counselling. So I just kept on going back.
Wow, what an amazing journey. 25 years with John Bishop, everybody! Man Down returns to Channel 4 this summer. Series 4. It's a hit.
It's still going.
Yeah, and all the previous series are available to catch up on all 4. What can you tell us? You're filming it now?
It's the last day tomorrow, actually. Last day of filming, but it's... what can I tell you about it? It's the most ridiculous series so far, and probably the most offensive.
But it's all based on your experiences as a teacher.
Well, loosely, Graham.
Well, except you say that. Every time Greg's here, you tell us stories being teacher, and I keep thinking, oh, well, that's it now. He'll have told us you know, the funny things that happened to me as a teacher. But it seems like a bottomless pit. Like school trips. Because school trips seems like that's when all rules go out the window for pupils, everybody.
And for teachers, I think. Yeah. I think. You've got to remember, when I first started teaching, I was 21 years of age, you know, and I was sent to Paris on a school trip. 3 of us, all of us in our early 20s, in charge of a busload of kids. It's frankly amoral.
What'd you get up to?
Do you know, it's awful. I can say it now. I'm never going to go back to teaching now, right?
I think it's unlikely.
And I got really drunk with 2 friends in a hotel room when the kids were all in bed. Like, really drunk. We'd had a bottle of tequila between the 3 of us. And then I heard kids running around. It's so bad, isn't it? Heard kids running around, and I'm quite good at pretending to be sober when I'm not. So I said, I'll go out and I'll deal with this to my friend Tony, who's still a teacher. And I went out, and there were these kids all in their nighties and pyjamas, all giggling, and I went out, what's going on here? And they were like, oh, sorry. I said, you know you should be in your bedrooms. It's absolutely disgraceful. And I was doing a beautiful job when Tony came out of my room, and I don't know why, he was just in his boxer shorts. And a really big pair of boots. And he started going like this, you should be in bed. And I grabbed him by the face. I was so frightened. I grabbed him by the face and I just pushed him back into my room. I closed the door. One of the kids went, is that Mr. Stevens? And I went, yes, he's not feeling very well. And I accepted it. That was it.
And Daisy May Cooper, you love a challenge. You love a challenge.
Wow.
No, this, I think... so you saw this... was it on Instagram or Facebook you saw this challenge here? Are you a real woman? Can you pass the pen on to boob challenge?
Yes, I found that on Instagram and I thought, I've got to take that on.
And I'll just say, Daisy May Cooper, she did pass that test, and then some. Here she is. But now, the other pictures we have, did people send them to you?
So it just kind of went mental, and I think people were just really, really bored. And it got, I mean, I don't know what you've got to show, but my favourite one was a woman sent me a picture of an entire car parcel shelf under her tit. Wow. It's insane. How strong are they?
We've got a nice lady here. She's got the entire Godfather collection. And then this woman, I mean, this woman can fly Ryanair anytime. Look at that.
God.
That's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, that's a rack.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you've been working in lockdown. That's very good.